Welcome to our show, Umbrellas of Hope. We are committed to enrich the life of members of the veteran and military community by connecting them to the resources that they need. We advocate for professional and entrepreneurial opportunities and facilitate conversations of hope, empowerment, and creativity to reduce military and civilian transition difficulties and to help our veteran and entrepreneurs families to thrive. Hi, I'm Niurka, your host. We invite you to be part of this journey as we, together, bring a positive change on new beginnings, opportunity, and success. Our new mini-series will be introducing the art of business to share with you how it can enhance your life, your community, and your future. So stay tuned. Let's welcome James McNeil. He's a veteran, the author of Finding Your Personal Mission, and the designer of the Authentically You program that help you overcome the imposter syndrome. And he's here to tell you a secret. Yes, you hear that right. A secret. He's here to tell you the secret ingredient to success. Do you want to know? I do. So stay tuned.
If success was a recipe, what would be the secret ingredient? What would be the ingredient that brings to mind the image of a celebrity chef adding it to his soup or his dish while he shields the camera with his body and he says, I won't tell you this one. What would be the secret ingredient to success? I've asked this question in messages all around the Southeast, and I have had some very interesting answers. Some people said you need to know where you want to go. You need to have direction. Some people said you need to be coachable or teachable. Some people said you need to have ambition. You need to work hard. And occasionally, someone will say you need money. And I tell them all the same thing. These are all very good answers, but not what I'm looking for. I said the secret ingredient for success, and the secret ingredient is something that hides in plain sight so effectively you would never even know it's there. Before I tell you what that secret ingredient is, I'd like to tell you a little bit about someone who was very well acquainted with it. Our 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, is someone who is very, very well acquainted with this ingredient. You see, not many people know that before he was President Lincoln, he was Private Lincoln. Yes, President Lincoln served in the military. And at that time, you see, if a person had the money and if they had the people to follow and they had the equipment to give those people, then what you could do is you could form your own militia and you would guard your area or take care of your area in case you were needed. Now, people don't like the word militia today because of what it actually, what it means today. But at that time, a militia was actually supported by the Constitution. A state could have its own militia, an area could have its own militia. And that's exactly what Abraham Lincoln did. He had the money. He came from a wealthy family. He had the people that were listening to him. He had the equipment. He put together a militia. And in doing so, he became the commander of that militia. He was Captain Lincoln. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, you said Private Lincoln. And that's true. He became Captain Lincoln, but I'm talking about Private Lincoln. And obviously, since he started at the top, he didn't work his way up to the top. This is not something where he earned his success like people do in the military today. Someone I look up to as a man, General Carter Ham, one of the last people I've ever heard of to start at the rank of E1 private in the Army and attain the rank of O10, a 4-star general. That can be done, but that's not what Lincoln did. He started at the top because everything in that militia was his. The people listened to him, the money was his, the equipment was his. And when you own everything, that's where you start. Because it just makes sense. But Lincoln had everything he needed to be a fantastic military commander, except one thing. There was one thing that Lincoln did not have that he needed to be a good commander or a good leader in any situation, and that was the ability to lead. I mean, you'd think that would make sense, but he didn't have it. He couldn't lead people. He didn't have influence. John Maxwell says that the measure of leadership is influence. It is nothing more and it is nothing less. And Lincoln did not have influence. There are stories in John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, about how Lincoln failed his people. The most humorous story from his own words later in his life, he talked about marching his people up to a fence that had a gate in it. And it would have been very, very easy to give them the command to get them from one side of the gate to the other side of the gate, except Lincoln said later he couldn't remember that command. Have you ever blanked out? I have. He did that day. He couldn't remember the command. So he got everyone that were marching, he stopped them, he turned toward them, had them turn toward him, and he said, I want you to fall out, you're dismissed on this side of the gate, in 2 minutes, reconvene on that side of the gate. Now that's innovation. But it was his lack of understanding of military culture, his lack of understanding of the military commands, and lack of understanding of how to do things in the military that made him go down the ranks. He didn't go up, he went down the ranks. Commander to XO, maybe someone else can be in command and I'll just support them. He couldn't do that. XO to first sergeant, down the ranks until he became Private Lincoln. And every time he did this, he came face to face with this secret ingredient of success. And maybe by now you figured it out, so I'll go ahead and tell you. The secret ingredient to success is failure. That's right, failure. He had failed his leadership responsibilities so much that he had gone from captain to private. And what did that mean for Lincoln? What did it mean for the man who would one day become president of the United States? That meant that just like you and me, he had to forget the fact that he had failed in the past, but not forget the lessons that he had learned from those failures. Abraham Lincoln was destined to be president. after other failures along the way, because we know very well about his attempts to run for various offices before he decided to run for president. He failed and he failed and he failed. Just like Michael Jordan said one time, I have failed so many times, and that is why I succeed. What would have happened if Lincoln had not pushed forward? What would have happened if Lincoln had let his failures from the past keep him from being able to push forward to the success that was in his future? What would have happened if he let himself get paralyzed by failure? One more story. This is a little bit shorter. This is about, in my opinion, one of the greatest writers in history. Everyone that knows me knows I'm a writer. I have a book called Finding Your Personal Mission. Check that out. But my hero as a writer is a man who lived a long time ago, and his name is Charles Dickens. What many people don't know is that Charles Dickens' first book was an absolute failure. Many people think his first book was Great Expectations or A Tale of Two Cities, but it wasn't. His first book was a collection of 500-word sketches that he wrote just to keep himself sane. And as someone who loves writing, I get that. But 500-word sketches that he wrote called Sketches by Boz, B-O-Z. Now, that is a long story about how he got his name. If you want to look up a recording called Dickens, Dallas, and Dynasty, have fun with that. But Sketches by Boz, his first effort in the publishing world, was such a failure. You see, they didn't have print on demand at that time. You printed so many books and you prayed that they sold, and his didn't sell. So his publishers sent a copy of this book to other publishers around the area with this note: this is one of our finest authors. One of his works is enclosed. Please accept this as a token of our gratitude toward you and our appreciation of what you do. Translation: we're about to burn this thing for firewood. Get it off of our hands. It was that actually led to his greatest success. And again, you'll find that in Dickens, Dallas, and Dynasty, when the greatest author of that time came into to a local publisher and said, you know, I need to publish a book and I need an author to help me write it. Now, what would have he done if he looked at his first publishing venture and said, man, I couldn't even publish this. I couldn't get this sold. And we've looked at Charles Dickens, we've looked at Abraham Lincoln. Now let's look at you. What do you do? What do you do whenever you look at your past failures and say, man, I've failed so many times at so many things. How can I make a success out of this? They didn't look at their past failures and judge their future success by those failures. And you don't have to either. I didn't have to either. I looked at myself in the mirror. When I first started writing Finding Your Personal Mission, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you have got to be able to do this. And all those mistakes you've made in the past, all those failures you've had in the past, every time you slipped and fallen, is not indicative of what you're going to do in your future. And the same exact message applies to you. I wish I could tell you today that going forward, you will have nothing but success and life will be fantastic for you and you will never fail again. But I can't lie that well. And you probably wouldn't believe me if I tried to say it. But I can tell you, excuse me, I can tell you this. If you look back at yesterday and you see a failure, It doesn't mean today is going to be a failure, and it doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be a failure, because you have to get through that. Failure is the secret ingredient to success. We look at the journey to success and we think, here's point A, here's point B, and that's just the way it is. No, there's a whole lot of success and failure along the way between A and B. You're going to fall flat on your face, and then you have to get back up and realize that that does not mean you will always fail. Lincoln didn't. Lincoln didn't always fail. Dickens didn't always fail. I haven't always failed, and you will not always fail. Remember that.
Well, do you learn the secret to success? What is it? Talent? Money? Persistence? Leadership? And sure, all those things are needed. But the secret ingredient, like Jane told us, is failure. Because failure can teach you a lot of things. And you start by asking yourself, what were you there to do? What were you there to do? What were you there to dream? You knew you could succeed. You don't have to be afraid of failure, or that everything is not perfect, or that you gotta know. Because if you're afraid and you don't try, like James reminds us, the only thing that you're going to guarantee is that you're not going to succeed at it. You have to take the next step. You have to be bold. What happened? You fail. You pick yourself up and you try again. Failure is not fatal. You just have to build up that resistance. Because guess what? You get another shot. Do it. Try. And share with us in social media, Instagram and Facebook, hashtag Umbrella Hope, hashtag another shot. Let's find success in the other side of failure. Never forget, there's always another shot. Tag us in social media, more Umbrella. Okay, stay tuned for more.
Creativity, really, the key part of creativity we want to think about is that it enables you to solve a problem in a new or different way, and in a way maybe perhaps nobody thought of. And that's really a big part of the benefit or genius of creativity, and why everybody should try to nurture it if they can. Because creativity is problem solving. Any artist will tell you that much of what they do as an artist is solve problems, whether it's what color to use, what technique to use, what slug line to use, what copy to use, how to write the copy. All of those things are problems, they're decisions. And it's important to kind of nurture that kind of mindset so that you can employ either work with creatives or work on creativity and being more creative yourself.
And will continue to enjoy this journey in creativity with us. In today's world, where artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, advancing science, and autonomous vehicles is our new normal, creativity has never been more important. This new miniseries of Umbrellas of Hope was created in order to inspire you and empower you by giving you the creative confidence to redesign the world around you, to create new solutions that are invaluable for today's society, powered by your vision, your own unique talents, and limited only by your imagination. Our world, our society, our future needs you.